Europa, the Phoenician princess, was in a far-off kingdom washed by the sparkling Mediterranean Ocean. She was the daughter of ruler Agenor and ruler Telephassa and the sister of Cadmus, who would later be known for establishing the city of Hoodlums in Greece. The youthful Europa developed up within the prolific valleys and brilliant shorelines of Troy, a city popular for its riches and dynamic culture, from an early age. Europa stood out among her counterparts, her hair dim as the moonless evenings fell in delicate waves over her shoulders, and her eyes reflecting the profundity of the ocean were windows to a soul full of interest and bliss. Her chuckling was like music to those around her, filling the palace's hallways with happy tunes raised in extravagance. Europa was appreciated not as much for her physical magnificence as for her sharp insights and delicacy. Sol, despite her illustrious position, treated everybody with regard and thoughtfulness, gaining the warmth and deference of her individuals. Europa's days were spent between lessons from astute tutors and long hours within the royal residence gardens, where she adored to walk and lose herself in thought. Her adoration of nature was apparent. She particularly delighted in evenings at the shoreline, where the touch of the wind and the waves made her feel at peace. Europa, moreover, had an awesome fascination with the expressions and sciences. She marveled at the stories of faraway voyages and gallant deeds told by guests from far-off lands. Her intellect was continuously open to learning more about the world. The princess was adored by her family, and her father, ruler Agenor, considered her the pride of his kingdom. At the same time, her mother, ruler Telephassa, saw in her not only a girl but also a near confidant and companion. Her brothers Cilix, Phoenix, and Cadmus were defenders and companions in her childhood, fashioning a strong and adoring family bond, and Olympus, the ruler of the divine beings, observed the mortal world with inquisitive eyes. Among the mortals, one youthful lady captured his consideration like no other: the Phoenician princess. Her excellence was such that indeed, the fairies of the ocean and the muses of craftsmanship appeared to pale in her presence. Each day, Zeus observed her from afar. He observed her walk through the royal residence gardens. Her giggling, reverberating like a tune, penetrated the ether until it came to his ears. His interest developed day by day, and before long he realized that it was not unimportant reverence he felt but a profound cherish. Be that as it may, the ruler of the divine beings confronted a problem. His spouse, Hera, known for her zeal and trickiness, would not see mercy on this unused captivation, and other than that, Zeus knew his divine shape might panic or overpower. The youthful mortal required an arrangement to approach Europa without uncovering his personality and inciting Hera's envy. He has chosen to require the frame of a creature he might approach without uncovering his divine character with his control. He changed himself into a ball of shining white. His coat shone within the sun on the off chance that it was made of light, and his horns looked as if they were carved from ivory. Despite his size and quality, the ball radiated a calmness and delicacy that captivated anybody who saw him. He plummeted to the soil and joined a group adjacent. Where Europa used to wander, his appearance was so exceptional that he stood out promptly, transmitting a unique respectability. On that shining day, the shorelines of Phoenicia shone beneath a brilliant sun in the company of her companions. Europa was getting a charge out of herself on the seashore amid their entertainment. A wide bull of noble and grand appearance was drawn nearer them. This bull Zeus in the mask was momentous for his coat, which appeared to glow, and his eyes, which were filled with significant shrewdness. Europa, captivated by the respectable nearness and calmness of the creature, drew nearer to touch him. The bull, appearing to have remarkable tranquility, bowed to her, as if advertising for her to climb on his back. Encouraged by interest and surprise, Europa settled on the bull, propelled by her companions. The creature moved away from the coast, and suddenly, Zeus still changed into a bull with great dexterity and headed out to the ocean, taking Europa away from her country. At first, astounded and, to some degree, Frightened, the princess clung to the bull as they crossed the endless ocean. Looking back, she observed her domestic blur into the distance, realizing she was being carried to an obscure goal. The travel over the ocean was dragged on, as it were, by the sound of water and wind. Despite her initial reservations, Europa may not offer assistance but appreciates the quality and class of the bull. Once on the island of Crete, the white bull that had carried Europa over the ocean started to alter shape, uncovering himself to be Zeus, the powerful lord of the divine beings of Olympus. Astounded and dreadful, Europa observed in shock as the god took his legitimate frame sometime recently in her eyes. Zeus, seeing the stun and fear in the face of the Phoenician princess, talked in delicate, relieving words and clarified his truth. Eagerly, guaranteeing her that there was no reason to fear and that she had been taken to cruel sense of his cherish and adoration for her, to persuade her of his great eagerness, and to calm her soul. Zeus presented Europa with wonderful blessings. He guaranteed her that she would be a figure of incredible regard and that her children would be pioneers and heroes, and he appeared to her as the ponders of the island, its royal residences and sanctuaries, and guaranteed her that she would be the ruler of that awe-inspiring kingdom. At first, she was overpowered by these occasions. Europe steadily started to acknowledge her unused reality. Charmed by the excellence and culture of Crete, she started to see the island as her domestic. She marveled at its view and learned to appreciate her unused life and openings. After arriving in Crete, Europa became the mother of 3 children with Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Sarpedon. Each of them would play a vital part in Greek stories, and Minos stood out as a fair and shrewd ruler of Crete. Afterward, related to the legend of the miner Rhadamanthus, who was venerated for his decency in becoming a judge in the life following his death, Sarpedon, though lesser known, played a part in the history of the Trojan War. During his stay in Crete, Europe saw and participated in numerous excellent events. The island, a center of progressed civilization and culture, was the culmination setting for his modern life, surrounded by magnificent royal residences and complicated mazes. Europa lived the life of a ruler, regarded and respected by the island's occupants. In the long run, Zeus, ever flighty and with various divine undertakings to go to, moved away, leaving Europa on Crete. Be that as it may, her bequest of her children would live on through the centuries, even though she was repelled by her unique domestic. Europa found an unused reason and control in Crete. She hitched Lord Astyon, and beneath his administration, Crete came to statures of radiance and success. In the meantime, Zeus, recalling how he had transformed himself into a bull to win Europa, chose to eternalize that minute. He watched the sky and chose stars to shape the star grouping Taurus in memory of his bone frame amid the victory of Europe. This star grouping would serve as a point of interest within the sky, a direction for pilots and astronomers, and a representation of his union with Europa. In expansion, the title Europa took on a broader reverberation because it was chosen to represent one of the world's land masses. This choice reflected the significance and regard that Europa, the Phoenician ruler, had acquired in Greek mythology and culture.